Hi everyone, Georgetown Soaps here. I am making some more bath bombs with the 3D printed molds from BeScented, and I'm just going to go ahead and speed the video up just so you can see me mixing it. I just want everyone to understand you do have to mix for a little bit. One of the tips that I give is to put your citric acid and your baking soda through a sifter or a strainer just to get a lot of the clumps out. Saves you a lot of time, and you will have to, mix a little bit and, poke a couple clumps here and there. But if you use a sifter, it significantly reduces the time that it takes to mix your dry ingredients. And I always recommend adding your powder color to the dry ingredients. It's a lot easier to mix, and you're not going to get as many speckles if you were to mix it after you've added the oils and the butters and the fragrance and all of that to your batter. So I go ahead and I mix all of the dry, adding in my polysorbate, my cocoa butter, my fragrance oil. I like to get it all out of the container. Lots of good stuff in there. The polysorbate's pretty thick, so it's helpful to use a spatula to kind of get it all out. And then you just start mixing, kneading with your hands, and mix and get everything incorporated. It's always important to pull the mixture up from the bottom, especially when you're making a big batch. Pull it up from the bottom and really get it all incorporated. If you find that your mix is too dry, you can just spritz a little witch hazel or rubbing alcohol. And the rubbing alcohol and witch hazel, you really don't need a lot, just a little bit. You kind of want it just to be the texture of the wet sand. You can see how when I squeezed it together, it was kind of holding firm in place. And so that is what you're really aiming for. But again, mix. I feel like you can never kind of overmix, but you can definitely undermix your mixture. And so you can see it, I feel like it's pretty good, about the right consistency. So I've got the bottom of the mold, I've got the sleeve, and I'm just gonna add the mixture in. You don't need to pack it in. You just need to gently put it in, and then you need to put like a little bit of a mound on top, and then all you do is squeeze. And then I like to slide the sleeve back and forth. It kind of gets rid of some of the excess around the Saturn ring. And then I just use my finger, clean up the Saturn ring. And then, especially with the circle molds, you do need to just tap a little bit, not much, just tap a little bit, and it helps release it. Some of the other 3D molds I find you don't need to tap as much, so you just kind of figure out. And there you go. See how easily and perfectly that unmolded. When I've used these 3D bath bombs, I've never had the top not stick with the bottom. So very easy. And you can see I'm just kind of pouring the mix in. I'm not packing. I'm not overpacking it. I'm not overstuffing it. I'm not compacting it. And then you put a little bit of mound on the top like that. And then you just squeeze with your hands. You can also put the mold on the countertop and, press down on it, but I really feel like you can squeeze with your hands, and you don't need that much pressure. And cleaning off the Saturn ring. And again, with these, you'll get a feel for how big you want your Saturn ring to be, and you don't need to add too much. So you can have a smaller Saturn ring or a bigger Saturn ring, and see how they literally just kind of fall right out of the mold. Almost perfect. And then I noticed in this, the color looks a little bit turquoise. It must have been the lighting. I think I was making these at night, so I probably didn't have a lot of natural light. But this color, it's more of a deeper blue. It's not quite as turquoisey. So I think this video is a little misleading on the color, but it's a fabulous color. And I'm using the Celestial Waters fragrance from BeScented. It's really fresh, really clean. It's a nice unisex fragrance, and for my bath bombs especially, it's a really good seller. And again, just go around, clean up the Saturn ring before you unmold, and then you just tap. And it literally pops right out. They could not be easier to make. All right, and I've got the donut mold, exact same technique. You don't overfill it. And then what I have figured out with the donut mold is I've got a little skewer, and it's a lot easier if you just poke out the excess from the middle, and that way you've got a perfect hole in the middle. And just kind of slide the sleeve up and down. This one I tapped on the video, but a lot of times when I'm using this mold, I find you don't need to tap it. And there you go, a perfect donut bath bomb.